Yeah, good evening, everyone. So, yesterday I gave an overview about TypeScript architecture and how to create TypeScript application. We learned about that. So, one more important today we'll see how the TypeScript language, how it is different from our JavaScript. We will learn about those points. So we are going to learn TypeScript language. So in the TypeScript language, we can say TypeScript language and how it is different in various concepts from JavaScript. So language means usually in the language part, you have to know about variables. So data types. So here we have operators, statements, so functions, and we will learn about OOP concept and we will learn about what's new here. In OOP, so many things will come and modules and namespace. So these are the topics you need to be perfect. In OOP, so many will come, points will come. So these are the topics you need to be familiar to use TypeScript anywhere. So to use TypeScript in OOP, so many topics will be there. So many points you will learn about them. If you are good at this, then you can use TypeScript for your web application. So we will see, are there any differences in this? How they work? What are the differences? Right? Let's see. First, we will start with the concept of variables and data types. Variables and data types. We will see, is there any change in variable and data type? In TypeScript, first point is variable variable configuration in TypeScript comprises of it comprises of one is keyword and the data type. Variable configuration comprises of keyword data type. Keyword we can use var, let, and what? Const. Data type means any JavaScript type. Here, any JavaScript data types are used. Same JavaScript data types will work here. So, but what is new? What is some new concept you need to know is, so I'm not explaining var, let, and all. Those are not required here. So what is the syntax here is, you have to use keyword. We have to use keyword and a variable name and colon data type. That's how we declare. This is declaration. You know initialization. Na? So keyword, so variable name, data type, and value. You know that is called initialization. Variable declaration, initialization, all are same. Here only the change is data type. That means when you declare a variable, generally in JavaScript, we don't mention data type. Here we have to mention data type. What type of data we need to store, we need to define that. Remember, I'm not touching any JavaScript topic here. How many data types, what they are, all these we already know in JavaScript. Here only difference we are going to see. Yeah. So what is it is, now suppose I'm having a, yesterday we created TS project. In this TypeScript file, in the TypeScript file, I am storing, simply I am declaring a variable. You can use var let, variable name price, and you can mention data type as number. So if you do so, into the price, we cannot store any string. Actually, in JavaScript, it is allowed because JavaScript don't have data types. It is allowed, but here it's not allowed. Why? Because JavaScript is not strongly typed, but this is strongly typed. You said number, that means it will handle only number. You cannot have a string. You can enter only number, that is fine. You cannot enter anything else. Boolean, it's not valid. So an object, that is not valid. So you need to just keep a number that is valid. Number means, you know, JavaScript number means signed, unsigned, floating point, double, decimal, exponent, hexa, octa, binary, big int. All these comes under number. You can deal with any of them. That means what is this? What is this? That is an big integer. It is not error. It is just warning. So you can check. Don't think that every red mark is error, right? So what is the warning? It says that this n is a new in JavaScript. Are you sure to use it? That means you see it says that big int is not assignable to number. Not assignable to number, it is assignable to number. Only the point is it is not assignable to number in older versions. You will face the issue. Here, if you run this, it will work. That means you see console.log. What is it? Price. How to compile the program we learned. What we have to do? TSC. What is it? Index.ts. And it shows problem. And see, that is not the error. What it says, begin are available. So when targeting lower than ES 2020, not available. That means ES 2020 version. ES 2020 version means, so actually ES 15, ES 16 are ES 16 is the latest version. ES 16 means 2026. ES 5 means 2015. ES 6 means 2016. ES 7 means 2017. It is saying that after 2020 only this big int is available. That's not an error, right? You can just check the warning and you run this node index dot what JS. It will print it. There is no problem in that. So just it will show you the concept. So don't think every red mark is an error. Check what is this red mark, right? You verify that. You can understand that. So usually what is the point here? When you declare a variable, you have to define the data type. And one more important is that means example I will give here. So LET, some price, what is the data type, number, and you store something. LET, name, some string, you can store something in it. So LET, stock, some boolean, and you can store something true or false. You know the JavaScript data types. All primitive types are same. What are all primitive types? Number, string, boolean, null, undefined. Am I right? Symbol. All these comes under primitive types. All primitive types are same. So first point here, all JavaScript primitive types are same. JavaScript primitive types are same. Means we have a number, boolean, string, null, undefined, and a symbol and begin. All these primitive types are same. So non-primitive types, how to handle, I will explain, right? So some changes are there. All numbers, boolean, string, whenever you want to store anything, just mention its type, right? That is the first thing. Now, one more concept is TypeScript. TypeScript supports type inference. TypeScript supports type inference. This is very important. Type inference. TypeScript supports type inference. What is type inference is the data type can be determined according to the value initialized. So the data type can be determined according to the value initialized. If a value is not defined, then the default is any type. The default is any type. So which is the root for all types. If value is not defined, the default is any type, which is the root for all types. That means, for example, suppose LET, I defined LET some age, I declared like this. Now, what is the data type? I haven't mentioned data type. Now, data type is age is any. Into age, I send 10. So then it is valid. Into age, later I assign A. This is also valid. That means the default data type is defined as any, then it can handle any type. That means it can simply behave like JavaScript. It can behave like JavaScript. But the key point is if I defined LET age is equal to some 20. Now, what is age type? I haven't mentioned the type. Then age is what type? Number. According to the value, it is number. Later, into that age, you send a string. Then what happens is this is invalid. Why it is invalid? I haven't mentioned data type na. Even you don't mention the data type, it is invalid because you initialized a value. According to your initialization, the data type is determined for that. That means because you initialize a number, now every time age is considered as what? Number. Above, you haven't initialized. Na? This is not initialization. This is assignment. Na? You know the difference. Initialization, assignment differences, you know. So it is assigned. So you can assign anything. But once you initialize, then there is no necessity of defining data type. This is what you will surprisingly find in TypeScript projects. When you see people using JavaScript, TypeScript based React and Angular project, you will see that several situations they don't mention data type. They will be just using like JavaScript. You will be surprised like why they are not mentioning data type, because they might have initialized them. If they have initialized them, they don't need to mention the data type. Automatically, it will be fixed with that particular type. It will not allow any another type. So that is the point. So observe here, what will happen is, suppose we are having let some x, we determined x, and into x 10 that is valid, into x a that is also valid, into x true that is also valid. But later, uh, if you see this is default what type any. Later, if you initialize that to suppose 5, then only number is allowed. String boolean are not allowed now. String is not assignable, boolean is not assigned because you initialized a value. If I initialized a string, then only string is allowed. Number and boolean not allowed. So it is going to verify that. So type inference is a technique where the data type will be determined according to the value initialized, not assigned. It doesn't care what you assigned. It is always about what you initialize. What you initialize, right? One more important point is there. Another important point is TypeScript supports union of types. TypeScript supports union of types. What is union of type and why it should support this union of type is very simple. For example, you know in JavaScript you have a prompt. JavaScript you have a confirm, and in JavaScript you have alert and you have prompt. Now tell me what are the reference data types to declare for them? What should be the data type for confirm? Confirm in JavaScript it returns boolean, so it should be boolean. And what should be the data type of alert? Alert will not take any value. What alert will return? Alert will return undefined. Alert will return undefined. Alert is going to return undefined. So that means the point is, you know that is in general, any browser, if I open here, okay, roughly I will show you that. Suppose okay, I will just use the debugger to you. And observe here, I'm using alert, and alert is having some high or something. And enter, it is going to return undefined. When I say okay, it returns undefined. Alert returns undefined. And what confirm will return? Confirm high. Confirm is going to return okay true, cancel false. This is okay, then it is a true. Confirm returns boolean. That means we need to know what they return. According to that, we have to define the data type. Data type is defined according to what is given. So important here is you should know the data type. Now tell me what a prompt will return. So what a prompt will return. Prompt, suppose enter name. What a prompt is going to return. Prompt returns null and string both. Prompt will not return a string every time. If you cancel the prompt, it returns null. If you cancel the prompt, it will return null. And when you say OK, it will return a string. Now, what should be the data type for prompt? What should be the data type of prompt? If I want to store the result of prompt, what should be the data type of prompt? If you put string, null cannot be stored. If you put null, string cannot be stored. If I put any, is okay na? Not okay, because any can store boolean also. If I put any, it can store boolean also. Now, what is the speciality of union of type? It can allow to define multiple types. Union of type is nothing but it allows to configure multiple types. That means what you can do is let, suppose uname, username, and I am expecting, what is it? I am expecting a null and or I am expecting a string. I can put a pipe symbol. Now it is good for which one? Prompt. That is good for prompt. And you can define multiple types. That means X into X, you can have a number, you can have a string, you can have a boolean like this. That means now X can handle either number or string or boolean only. If I give any, it can handle null, undefined, everything. But I don't want like that. I want to handle only specific. Then you can mention that. That is union of types. TypeScript supports union of types. So this is very important because in many occasions it may return multiple. Then you cannot define one. For example, suppose let name is a string type equal to I mentioned as prompt enter name. Then it is error. Why it is error? Because prompt will return null also. So then you have to mention the type as the string or what type null. Now it is correct. So we need to exactly define the type, right? And remember, if you don't mention data type and assign prompt, initialize prompt, automatically it will take union of string and union of null. Automatically it will take. But if you are initializing, you have to define like this. Suppose I defined X, it is a number, it is a string, and it is a boolean like this you declared. Then into X you can store a number, into X you can store a boolean, into X you can store a string. Into X you can't store null. It's not allowed. Null or undefined is not allowed. But if I make the data type as any is not a solution, because if I make any, it will allow all. That will violate. That's the reason we can define union of types. So when you are configuring data type, you should remember this point, how union works, how union concept works. So what is type inference? How to declare a variable, initialize, assign, and what is union of type? This is new in TypeScript. When you declare variable, mention the data type. If you expect multiple, then define a union of type. You exactly know what you are dealing with, and by default some value comes, then initialize with which value you want. When you initialize, you don't need to mention data type. Why? Because when we initialize, the data type will be automatically determined according to that, right? So numbers, boolean, strings, remember all number methods, string methods, string methods. So are number methods, string methods, and other other manipulations on primitive types are same as in JavaScript. That means there is no change. What does it means? You learnt all number methods like where price is a number and you stored something into this, then price is having two fixed, am I right? So is nan, what is it, price, all these are same, there is no change. And if you are dealing with some name and it is a string type and some name you are storing in it, that means we have all the methods like length. So length, string methods, like char at, am I right? So name like what, split, all these are same, all these are same. All number methods are same, all string methods are same, all primitive manipulations are same. Whatever you learned in JavaScript, it works in the same way. So there is no change in that. So you learned two fixed, another one two local string, am I right? All these are same things. So two precision. So number methods, string methods, and all other manipulations, whatever you done in your JavaScript, you have to do in the same way here also. So there is no change in data type, primitive data types. Some changes are there. Some changes in other data types, what I will explain here. So what are the changes we are having is, I will show you here, handling non primitive and other and complex types. Handling non primitive and complex types, are there any changes in them? So are there any changes in handling non primitive? So you should know, are there any changes in the non primitive types? So first one, what about array? Generally in JavaScript, what is the point about array is, array is a collection of values in sequential order and values can be different type. In JavaScript, array value can be different type. Here it have both behaviors. That means, so what is the point is, TypeScript array, TypeScript array can handle various types like JavaScript. Array can handle various types like JavaScript and can also restrict array to similar data type, similar type of values, and can also restrict array to similar type of values like you use in C, C++, Java, everywhere, because their array is similar type na. But in a JavaScript, array is not similar type. You learnt about it. In JavaScript, array is not a similar type of collection. You can store anything in it, right? Now, in TypeScript, it can have both behaviors. That means you can design array in such a way that you can store anything in it, or you can design in such a way that it can store only number, only string, like that. In JavaScript, there is no same type. We can handle different type. Here, how we can do that? Same, simple. What is it? How to declare array? Configurations, everything same. Array meta character, array constructor. That means what we have to do. Let. Suppose I given as some names. It is a string type array is equal to new array. You can define like this, or you know that you can use meta character. Na? So first you will see here. It can be like let names. It is string type is equal to meta character. In JavaScript already you learned difference between them. What is difference between meta character and constructor? You know that. So this is nothing but you designed an array and it is restricting same type, all numbers, all strings like that you can define. And very important, if I define like this, values is any type array. Now what does it means? Any type array means you can store anything in them. That means you can have anything. You can store any type of data into it. That means into values 0, you can store a number. Into values 1, you can store a string. Into values 2, you can store a boolean. They can handle anything. So you can restrict same type, or you can define for any type. You can configure for any type. Here, some limitations are there, some restrictions are there. We will see them. That means what you can do is see let values is a string type array. And what does it means? All values must be only string. You know, you can initialize or you can assign, suppose A and suppose B and suppose 10. This 10 is not allowed because its data type is what? String type. But when you make it as what? Any type, then you can see it is going to handle all. It is going to handle all different types it can manage. That's the nature of JavaScript actually. But here one very important point is there. So what is the point is you cannot initialize you cannot initialize various types of values using a using an array constructor even when the data type is any. So you can handle various types. Assignment. You can handle various types assignment, not initialization. So this is array constructor. But what is the point is, that means what is this? It is nothing but suppose we have let values. It is any type array is equal to new array. Now into that I am passing 10. Then I am passing A. This is invalid. Why it is invalid? Why it is invalid? Because So what it will do is in array constructor. So what is now first value type is used for others. First value type is used for others. That means, what does it means? All values must be number type. That means what is the first value you mentioned? Others must be same type. If I mention first string, all must be string. If I mention first boolean, all must be boolean. Even the data type is any, you cannot initialize any. You cannot initialize any. That is the nature of constructor. But remember, if you define, if you define values any, define values any using meta character, it will allow. There is no problem. Understood? Meta character allows to handle different. This is valid, but constructor will not allow. First data type will be used as data type for others. Even when the data type is any, you cannot store any. You cannot initialize any. Remember, this is all about initialization. This is very, very important. So remember one point here. So array constructor will allow assignment of various types, but will not allow initialization. When data type is defined as any, this is very much little bit confusion, but it is easy to understand. Suppose we have values, and what type, any type, is equal to what? New array. So we are not initializing, but into values of 0, we are assigning 10. Now what is the first data type? Number. Second data type is string. This is valid, no problem. So values of 2, it is equal to true. That is valid. That is no problem. That means what is not allowed? Initialization is not allowed, but assignment is allowed. And this is only for array constructor. Array meta character will allow both initialization and assignment. It allows both initialization and assignment. So when you are declaring a variable with array constructor, you cannot initialize different types even when the data type is any. Even when data type is any. So this is important. For example, see here, what is the point is, see, suppose we are mentioning any and a new arena and initialization, I entered, suppose here A. Now I entered 20. 20 is not allowed. It is not allowing 20. Why? Because first data type is string. So it says that you cannot assign a string. So number. I can assign a string. But if the first data type is number, then second one is not allowed. That means based on first data type, all other types will be determined. How this is possible to design like this? That is possible to design like this using a concept called generics. Generic is a concept which allows to design like this. I will show you. We have generic concept also here. That means it is designed, array method is designed as a generic method. Means it is ready to take anything, but once you mention what to take, it will not allow others. And remember, this is only in case of initialization. But when you say values of 0 is 10, values of 1 is equal to A, no problem. Only initialization not allowed. Now, if I want to handle different types of data, initializing, assigning, then what is the best way? Declare a array using a meta character, not by using a construct. Meta character will allow both, right? And if array is allowed, if array is allowed with a collection of various types of values initialization and assignment, various types of values initialization and assignment, then it is known as a tuple. It is known as a tuple. So what is a tuple? Tuple is a collection of various types of values. It is a collection of various types of values, initializing as well as assigning. And how to declare a tuple? How to declare a tuple? You have to declare a tuple like this. What is it? LET values, what type? Any type. Am I right? Any type, and you have to define meta character. This will declare a tuple. Understood? Huh? Means it will allow you to initialize different values. It will allow to assign different values. Right. That is one very important thing you should know. Another concept is while working with arrays, I told you that array variable can be union of types. Union of types. That means, for example, suppose here, let's see here, suppose LET values is a string type or a number type. That means you defined as an array for string and number type. Now, what is the point? It can handle either all strings or all numbers, not string and number. Understood? Huh? That means either all must be string type or all must be number type, not string and number. Remember, initializing, assignment you can have. That means initializing, even I define meta character. Suppose I said 10, 20, fine. I entered A, not valid. Either all numbers or all what? String, all string type. Initializing all numbers, all string. One number, one string not allowed. But important is if you are assigning values of 0 is equal to 10. One is number, values of 1, it is A. Another is string, it's fine. Values of 2 is true. This is not allowed now because it will allow only number and string. So what is the point? It can have union of types, but it cannot initialize all values of union. That means it can be either any one type, all numbers or all string, but it can assign different. It can assign different. So what is the rule about union? So can configure, array can configure union of types. Array can configure union of types. It can configure union of types. So, however, it will not it will not allow to, it will not allow to initialize all types defined in union. However, it will not allow to initialize all types defined in union. You can assign. You can assign all types in union. You can assign all types. You cannot initialize. That is, let values is a string array or number array is equal to, here you said 10, you said a, this is invalid again. Even you use a meta character. That means here what is the point? Either all numbers 10, 20. This is okay na? This is valid. Or all string A, B. This is also valid. Valid. This is initialization. Assignment values of 0 is equal to one number. Values of 1 is equal to one string. That's valid. This is valid. This is valid. So this is one important you should know about union. Only declaring, configuring arrays is having difference. Now, what type of data you can store in array, that depends on what type you define, right? It can behave like your Java, C, C++ arrays. It can behave like JavaScript arrays, both behavior. So all array methods are same as in JavaScript. No need to explain. Means array filtering, array sorting, array slice, array related push, pop, all are same. There is no change. All array methods are used in the same way. Map for each, how you read, how you filter, sort. So all push, pop, all are same. So this is something new about array. I hope you understood. That means arrays are little different from your JavaScript. You have to mention data type. Even you mention data type, how to deal with them if with any or similar types, we should know that. Okay. Next important is, second important is what you have. We have object na, array, object, map. All these are different non-primitive types na JavaScript. Object, what you learned in JavaScript, same here. But what is problem is, in JavaScript, object is schemaless, structureless. There is no structure. You can store, assign anything into an object. That means generally in JavaScript, object is structureless. I will show you. Temporarily, I am writing some code in JavaScript file. Suppose let product is equal to is an object na. In the object, we have a name. In that, I assigned something. Into that product dot name, I send 10. It is okay. It is okay. It will take. There is no restriction. In JavaScript, there is no restriction. It will accept. So into product you send name with the true, it will take. There is no problem. And very important, we have product dot, suppose I given price is equal to this. So the price is not defined, but it can use. You remembered optional chaining. We can put a question mark na price. We can define dot question mark dot price. I told you optional chaining. You learned that in hook form, na? Right. That means the point is it is completely structureless. Structureless means what? You tell something, you store something, it will take. Right. So that is the problem. So, but now in TypeScript, it is well structured. How it is well structured? For example, I am creating a product and I want this well structured. Then I can define the structure as type. This block represents schema. Schema means structure of that data type. That it is not number or it is not string or it is not boolean. It is an object type. In that object, I want name, which is string. I want price, which is number. I want stock, which is boolean. Then what happens? Your object is ready. If you want to initialize anything, so equal to you can initialize na. And while you are initializing, what we have initialize assign, you can do anything. While initializing, it is showing error. Why it is showing error? Because every configuration inside the schema is mandatory. What you mentioned in schema is mandatory. In schema, you mentioned that it should have name, price, stock. So it should have name, price, stock. That means it is saying that name is missing. You see, missing. What is missing? Name, price, stock. These three are missing. Okay, let's put here name. And into the name, I am assigning some number. It's not allowed because now it is strictly expecting only string. So it is another one. What is it? Price. It is number only. And you see now still it is having problem because it says that stock is missing. Right? That means what you do, you have to define the stock. And you mentioned true, it is allowed. Suppose you said rating is 4.3, it will not allow. It says that in the structure there is no rating. You can't add anything which is not in the structure. We cannot miss anything which is not in the structure. So fixed. This is well structured data. JavaScript is not. It says that there is no rating, doesn't exist. You should exactly define the type. What is there, you have to define the type. But here some points are there, we will see. First concept, your JavaScript objects are schemaless, but here they are well structured, schema based objects. Well structured. You need to define the structure before you handle the data. Right? So here what is the key point? What is difference? TypeScript object type. Object type is schema based. It configures a structure. It configures a structured data. It configures structured data. It configures structured data. Properties defined in structure are mandatory to configure by default, are by default mandatory, are mandatory to configure by default, or say mandatory to configure is enough. Properties defined in structure are mandatory to configure. That is one. So that is actually default rule. That is. But one facility this provides. What is this is I will tell you. That means how do you define the schema? Syntax obj object requires a schema, property and its data type. You have to mention another property and data type. Like this we can define and you can initialize accordingly. Am I right? So product, suppose I defined it have a name string, price number, and one important specialty here is what is the specialty is it supports optional properties defined with question mark, which is a null reference character, which is a null reference character. That means nullable properties we can have. We can have optional properties. A property can be optional. How you make property optional? So suppose LET product, it is having name, string type, price, number type, and rating. I can put a question mark and number. Rating question mark and what type number. What does it means? You can skip rating. If any property is defined with question mark, it is an optional. You can skip it. That means in this case, so rating is optional. Rating is optional in product. Can we have multiple optional? Yes, we can have multiple optional. We can have multiple optional. That is important. So what does this means? For example, you see, I am having rating. Rating is what type number? And immediately it shows an error. It says that rating is missing na? And you put a question mark, then it is fine, no problem. Now it is not a issue. But the point is, if they are not using rating and you are trying to print, then it will return undefined na? Then it is mandatory to verify. What we have to do if product dot rating, what does it means? If it is defined, then print rating. Am I right? Then print with rating. Am I right? Otherwise, else, so print without rating. Without rating. If it is optional, usually we define like this. What does this condition means? It condition means that if it is defined, then what to do? If it is not defined, what to do? This indicates true. It returns true if rating is defined. If rating is not defined, then it will not. Rating is optional. Can we have multiple optional? Of course. You can make stock optional. You can make rating optional, anything. Now, one more point is there. Okay, that's fine. We understood this. Now we are accessing product dot price. Already it is initialized to 3000. Later I am entering 5000. Is it valid? Don't tell answer because red mark is not coming. Right? Is it valid? It is valid. Why? Because you can reinitialize na, you can assign any value into it. But once initialized, if we don't want to assign a value, you want to make it fixed after initialization, then you can make it as read only. We can have a read only property. Read only means it will allow to initialize but will not allow to assign. Once initialized, you can just use it. You cannot assign. This is all not there. There is no read only keyword at all in JavaScript. Right? That means it allows read only, cannot assign to price because it is a read only property. You can configure read only. If read only is not there, you can assign. If read only is there, you cannot assign. So you can have optional properties. Another one, it supports read only properties. It supports read only properties. You can initialize a value but cannot assign. You can initialize but cannot assign. So here syntax, suppose let product. In the product, we have object name string and we have read only price. We can put like this. It is number. So name is something, price is something. After that, product dot price is equal to something else. This is invalid. Why? Price is read only. Price is read only property. So that is array. Array and object. And all object manipulations are same. Are same as in JavaScript. All object manipulations are same as in JavaScript. What does it mean? Means reading keys, reading values, reading entries, object dot keys, delete key, hide key, all are same, no change. So this is object, just one example. I'll just configure this example. We are not printing or doing anything because not required. Just you need to know the difference. Later we will put this in an application. So how to deal with array and how to deal with object. Now the question, how you will create array of objects. Hmm. That means I want an array of objects. Suppose we want to store the fake store products. That means what we will do, let products and products is What is it? It is, I need a collection of objects, array of objects. Then what we do is we mention object. It should have ID, which is number. It should have title, which is what? String. It should have price. This is a number. And internally, again, object you can have no problem. That means you can have rating. Rating is again object. Rate is what? Number. You define. It is an object type array is equal to array. That's how we define. That is an object type array. That means many objects. You can handle many objects. That means now what can be in products? That means in the products. So we need to add data now. That means we need to assign data. You can see if I use push, you see the data type. It is expecting items now. And every item needs an ID, title, name, price, rating, and all. If they are optional, you can ignore. Otherwise, you have to define. That means now, of course, you can store like this. If you want to initialize something into this, you can initialize directly like this. Array of objects now. And what is the object mandatory? ID must be there. Title must be there. It is a string. Why it is showing error? Because all are mandatory. Price must be there. Rating also must be there. And rating is what type? Object type. It must have a rate and number. All these are important. So we can have multiple. We can configure multiple. Configure multiple. In this also, you can have optional. You can have read onlys. So array of objects, how you define? You have to configure like this. So here another one. Configuring. So here one question, how to configure array of objects. How to configure array of object. It requires a schema. It requires a schema with the array meta character. A schema with array meta character. So let some data is object type, property, data type, object type array. Object type array. So only this type of objects are allowed inside this array, in that array. That is how you define. So arrays are same, objects are same. And what about another one? Map type, na? Map type is same as in JavaScript. So map type is same as in JavaScript. Means how do you define let? Some data is what type? Map is equal to, you know that it should be new map na, and you know. But here one more important is there. This is very important. I will tell you. Actually, this map here is a generic type. Later in generic, I will tell you type and key. It is a generic type. Later we will discuss generic concept. I will explain that. Then you can understand. What is difference between object and map you learned in JavaScript is object keys are string type, map keys can be any type. But now what you can do is TypeScript allows TypeScript allows to configure a data type for key and value. Actually, JavaScript map can have any type of key or value, but not here. Here also we can do if data type is any. Here we can restrict the type. We can restrict the type. It is a generic type. So that means what we do is syntactically here let data is a map type and it is having key type, key data type and value data type. We have to mention. We have to put in an angle bracket, new map. That means data is a map. So it is a map, number and string. What does this means now? What does it means? Data dot set. All keys must be number only. Value must be string. Data dot set. It should be number only. Actually, map keys can be any type and value can be any type, but you can restrict. Suppose you want, you can declare data what type map, key must be string type and value can be any type. Or both any type you can do. If I do like this, data dot set A, in that you can store string, array, anything na. So data dot set B, you can store an object, array, anything you can store inside. So that is a generic type. Earlier in JavaScript, you can deal any type, but here we can restrict the type. Or if you want, you can mention any type also. So that is one new thing about maps. And what you learned in JavaScript about map are faster than object. So why they are faster than object? Because they have all implicit methods, adding, removing, and finding, everything implicitly they are managing. But what difference you learned is object is structured, this is structureless, but here it is structured. So this is map type. Means for example, you defined let data is a map and it needs a key type and value type. Key type is number and value type is string. In angle bracket, you have to define now is equal to what? New map. Then what should happen? Into data set, you can set only number type keys and string type values. The key must be number type and value must be string type. You can make this as any type if you want. Then you can store data dot what set. Here I cannot have a string key. You have a number key, another, you can store anything in it. Array, object, anything. That is one point. Actually, in JavaScript, both are any types. Key any type, value any type. Here we can restrict, right? And map manipulations are same. Are same as in JavaScript. Get, set, has, values, entries, keys, all are same. Manipulations are same. Now, next important few more types are there that we'll see tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we will learn how to handle date, regular expression, and are there any difference between operator, statements, functions? There is no difference in operator and statements. All are same. Functions little change. Functions and OOP concepts are little different. Some new things you have to learn that we'll see in tomorrow's session. Okay.